Hello there, it's Tania Gabrielle, Wealth Astro-Numerologist. Welcome to Star Codes, the podcast where we look at an Astro-Numerology event coming up in the stars and numbers, the Astrology and Numerology, to help us navigate the celestial energy that is being emitted on such a big level right now. I mean, we're going to talk about an epic transformation that's about to take place with Pluto. And I had mentioned it in a previous Star Code podcast when we talked about Saturn's move into Pisces on March 7th and how this month of March has so many shifts in play between that event and then Pluto, the planet of this podcast, moving into Aquarius on March 23rd, followed by Mars moving into Cancer after being in Gemini for 7 months due to that long retrograde on March 25th, 2 days later. So this is a big transformational time. It's epic. And with Pluto, it's even more so because Pluto is such a slow-moving planet. It takes Pluto 248 years to move through the 12 signs of the zodiac. So when Pluto changes signs, it's a really big deal. Now, Pluto is the planet of power, of purging, of transformation, of either disempowerment or empowerment, of making the unseen visible. And in Aquarius, the sign that Pluto will be moving into on March 23rd, Aquarius is the sign of the visionary, the inventor, the revolutionary, the sign of freedom and equality and community and the collective and our future and advances in technology. So Pluto moving into Aquarius is going to address and change the status quo, what's established, what is basically considered reality, and that's what Capricorn represents. Capricorn is the sign that Pluto is moving in, out of, and back in briefly, and out of again because of the retrogrades in the next year and a half or so. But Capricorn is basically representative of those structures that represent reality and the status quo, the powers that be. And so now that is completing itself now as Pluto moves into Aquarius, and like I said, moves back into the final 2 degrees of Capricorn due to retrogrades through November 2024. So it's a really transformative, epic time because the process is now coming to a head with this first visit of Pluto into Aquarius. Now, the last time Pluto was in Aquarius was the end of the 18th century, so between 1778 and 1798, and that was a 20-year period where countries around the world were rising up and challenging ruling authority. Again, Pluto had just moved out of Capricorn, and that's what happened. Now, these included political, social revolutions, basically in many different parts of the globe. And then when we go back another cycle, so another 248 years prior to the late 18th century, we arrive in the years of 1532 to 1553. And that was a 21-year period where Pluto was in Aquarius. And that was when the Protestant Reformation started with the Catholic Church being challenged in terms of its authority. That was the main authority at that point. So there's a lot here that is coming up, especially once Pluto is firmly in Aquarius from late 2024 all the way until 2044, a 20-year period. And we need to look at the first moment that Pluto reaches this sign because it is so laden with new beginnings. The new beginnings factor is absolutely huge. On March 20th, 3 days prior to Pluto literally inching in to Aquarius, we have the equinox. And that equinox is very powerful. It has the sun sextile Pluto. right? So the sun is basically sending Pluto off in a very harmonious way. basically saying striving for success is very important now. Having a desire to accomplish what you feel destined to accomplish is greatly heightened, and there's a lot of confidence in play, and you are just ready to take the lead. Remember, Pluto represents power. So you feel very empowered by this sextile 60-degree connection from the sun to Pluto right on the equinox, which is when day and night are equal. And it's the beginning of the new zodiacal year, meaning the equinox in Aries is 0 degrees Aries, and Aries is the first sign, so it really begins the new year in astrology. So a lot of new beginnings, but that's not all. The next day, literally hours later, on March 21st, we have the Aries new moon at 0 degrees Aries. Again, a new beginnings indication. So this symbolism is absolutely incredible. And this Aries new moon at 0 degrees Aries, that's an Aries point. So we have Aries points on all the cardinal signs, the 4 cardinal signs that are the beginning of our 4 seasons. And so they are 0 degrees Aries, 0 degrees Cancer, 0 degrees Libra, and 0 degrees in Capricorn. And so when we have a new moon on an Aries point, especially the very, very first degree of the whole zodiac, 0 degrees Aries, the new beginnings factor, new moon, is really quite astounding. And we have 2 Aries new moons this year, making it even more exciting. There's another one on April 20th at 29 degrees Aries. So it's showing us, and that one's a total solar eclipse, by the way, so really huge Aries Mars push here towards starting fresh and seeing things in a new light right as Pluto enters Aquarius. So those are like the precursors to then what happens on the 23rd of March, which is when Pluto enters Aquarius the first time since 1778. And so Aquarius is the sign of the collective and of community and innovation, technology, the unexpected, freedom, future. And Pluto infuses Aquarius then with life, death, rebirth, regeneration. So what we have been used to is being transformed as a new way, a new perception, a new way of perceiving life is being created. And so Pluto dips into Aquarius the first time for 11 weeks until June 11th. So there is a double 11 right there. And Aquarius is the 11th sign. It rules the 11th house. So there's a lot of electricity with this one. 11 actually governs light and electricity, being in the present moment, which is going to be absolutely crucial at this time because there'll be a lot of situations and experiences and developments that will unfold that will really demand that we be completely present and not caught up in agendas or beliefs or manipulation or just mind games. So this is another part of the Astro-Numerology code that is really pointing to the importance of presence at this time. Now on the 25th, Mars enters Cancer, and that is huge shift energy, and Mars plays a big role during the Aries new moon in that there is a square from the sun and moon to Mars. So we have a lot here to unpack, and in terms of the internal shift and how it positively impacts us at this time, that is when you are open to transformation. So that is when you are really so open to listening intuitively to how to navigate each moment. That is the liberation point. That is the magical moment, the 0 point, really, where you are not thrown into a loop, a forward loop worrying about the future, or a past loop regurgitating all the fears from anything that you're attached to that has already happened and projecting that into the present moment instead of just being open and present. Now, on the 23rd, when Pluto moves into Aquarius, 23 is a big number this year. We're in 2023. And so that is not insignificant at all, because the number 23 in the ancient Chaldean numerology is the strongest number because it represents the royal star of the lion, the strongest animal in the animal kingdom, the king of the animal kingdom. And so the royal star of the lion number is showing us again that courage and confidence and strength that comes from Pluto and from the Aries-Mars connection. And not only that, the date of the 23rd of March 2023 adds up to 15. And 15 is the number of spiritual alchemy, of magic, of love, of abundance, of uplifting others through joy. So the magic that comes when you live in the frequency of abundance and gratitude. It is the magician number, the alchemy number, and so merged with the royal star of the lion, this is a very exciting and powerful code, a very positive code. So let's look at one more amazing development with this Pluto movement into Aquarius, and that is at the moment that Pluto reaches 0 degrees Aquarius, the lunar nodes will be at the very beginning degrees of Taurus. The north node is at the beginning of Taurus and the south node is at the beginning of Scorpio. And this T-square from Pluto to the nodes is important because it does impact our relationships, who we meet. You know, the nodes represent not only the future and the past, north node being the future and south node the past, but they represent the people in our lives. And that's going to transform tremendously with this incredible T-square, especially in the fixed signs. Aquarius, Taurus, and Scorpio are all fixed signs. And fixed signs are the signs that want to change the least because they're fixed. So there's going to be this resistance to adjusting to relationships, new and present, that are undergoing a dramatic shift. It's epic in every way. So it's not just what you're going to be seeing on the news developing in world events and national events and local events, but it is truly in your own life. It's going to get very personal, the rebirth and transformation. There's going to be some endings because Pluto does bring endings. Pluto does purge. So letting go and looking to that neutral place where you know there's a new beginning coming and you trust in that and not get caught up in whatever storyline is being played out at the moment. You want to steer away from that and focus on intuitively how you are being guided at this time, because it's going to be very intense, especially between now and July, because in June, Pluto moves back into 29 degrees Capricorn, and that is a critical degree. It's the degree that Pluto's been on for the last couple months or so, and it will be back. And so the nodes will be in 29 degrees Aries and Libra at that point. And so that's why it's continuing through around November of this year. So all of these things are important. And remember that Saturn is the ruler of the sign that Pluto is moving back and forth from and into, the sign of Capricorn. Saturn just changed signs as well on March 7th. There's so much here. And the Saturn placement now in Pisces, which is where Saturn moved into, Pisces dissolves. Pisces is about melting away. And since Saturn rules Capricorn, those very structures and paradigms that we've been holding as our go-to in terms of instructions and taking orders from and not, obeying, basically following the rules. When Saturn, the ruler of that sign, the sign that Pluto is now also leaving and moving back and forth, the sign of Capricorn, when Saturn moves into Pisces, it's dissolving, right? It is now at the point where those old structures and old power centers are dissolving. So Aquarius is the sign of being very meticulous and reason and be logical. It's connected to science and scientific reasoning. So Pluto being in Aquarius, there will be deep-seated beliefs that will be shifted, beliefs that we are invested in, that define our identity, because Aquarius challenges those. We need to now see that when we were born, a lot of us, we were born into a culture that taught us to obey the authorities and otherwise face judgment or even punishment, which is another form of judgment. And now we know that can't possibly be true. And with the Aquarian age that we are moving into, the technology has been invented, especially the World Wide Web, that has made it possible for all of us to actually learn the truth of how powerful we actually are, right? To have all this info and data and anything that we search for at our fingertips. So Pluto in Aquarius is really going to continue this thread. Pluto in Aquarius is going to dismantle the control, because Aquarius really doesn't like that control. Aquarius also governs astrology and numerology. Aquarius asks us to reach beyond any top-down control and listen to the stars, listen to the codes, the frequencies. It rules the divination arts, not just science. It is about exploration on all levels. So as a result, we're all coming into an awareness of just honoring our personal sovereignty instead of continuing to align to a system that's been enforced on our behalf, supposedly, but was used as a form of power over, not empowerment. And when we look at the fact that our uniqueness, our inner star, our confidence, our courage, our destiny is demonstrated in our Astro-Numerology chart, our birth chart. That's pretty cool. Like, that's where you want to turn for inspiration, aside from your intuition, because it is literally galactic. That is the creator speaking to you, is through your chart, through the stars. And so now we are more and more eradicating that ingrained false belief system in us that we were trained as children to accept and respect, and we're purging that and we're transforming that. And this is an imperative step for us to take our path back to awakening, which is what Aquarius represents, is the true awakening, the water bearer, the wisdom that is contained in that water, that is reached in the very late sign of Aquarius, the 11th sign, right? So the symbol of that is when you are wise, when you are older. And so once taken in collectively, there's no going back, because the wisdom is there. You cannot put it back in and close it up. So Pluto in Aquarius drives home the truth that being born gives every individual the divine right to be and express themselves in whichever fashion that they may choose. As long as the person doesn't cause physical harm to someone else, this divine right may not and must not be overridden by anyone. And this is what is going to be driven home. So humanity is awakening now to this moment, which is the only moment there is. It is the moment that eternity lives in. Eternity is only present now. Anything else is a projection by the mind, the limited mind. Just consider that. Eternity is the time without beginning and end. There's no sense of being finite. It's infinite. And creation is constantly ongoing in that moment, in this moment. And you probably realize that we've had mystics walk the earth forever that have dived deeply into their heart, and in doing so have become aware of the oneness with Mother, Father, Creator, with Source. And through that awareness, they have realized and have shared with us their inner world, what Source truly is. And that Source is truly the only reality. That love is the only reality. And we are now going through that awakening big time. Big time. And I've created a wonderful masterclass that's free to help you with the awakening process. It is designed to help you take your power back. And you can access that free masterclass at spiritualmasteryclass.com. You'll discover the secret to spiritual mastery, the true meaning of your rising sign, the huge, important difference between individuality and uniqueness. And I love that section of the masterclass. And your natal sun and natal moon's profound impact on living an abundant, happy life. Also, we focus on how to instantly connect to spirit. That's a big part of this webinar. And there's lots more tools in it as well. Again, it's free, so enjoy that at spiritualmasteryclass.com. Have a wonderful, pivotal, epic week with the equinox, the Aries new moon, the move from Pluto into Aquarius, and then followed by Mars on March 25th, move into Cancer. Enjoy, and lots of love to you.